Hey, everybody, I'm Captain. Hey, sorry about that. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you were on the lifeboat. Had my head covering on. I'm not going to lie to you, people. It's a little chilly. Hey, Ellen Valentine, good to see you, my brother. I'm glad that you're here. Hello, Kelly. Zena Turner, good to see you. Charlie Murphy, what's happening? Regina, Pajama Pixie, good to see you. Virginia, glad that you're here. Hello, Izzy. Paula Penley, glad you're here. Anik Alexander, it's good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Meredith Lynn, how are you? Michelle, one with cats. Matrix. DJ Bird. Doc, Lacey Silver. Jen Nelson, glad you're here. You know, it's funny. Hey, there's Johnny Skull. Monk, eBay. Scott, got a message from someone today that said, man, I was watching your show. Holy crap, dude. You do like 6 minutes of roll call. There's no way I would watch till the end of that. So if you're the one that sent that, I'm going to go a little longer just to make sure. Right? Wouldn't want you to stick around by accident a little longer than that. Shannon Smith, good to see you. Gene, how are you? Arkansas is beautiful, says the lifeboat. Hello, Danny's mom. Good to see you. Hello, Evie. Rocket Queen. I love that song. ASAP Leslie, good to see you. You know, if you know that band, the song Rocket Queen happens to be one of the filthiest songs Guns N' Roses ever recorded. Honestly, we're an adult show here, so we're gonna talk about this. We're all grown-ups here. As it turns out, as they were getting ready to record that, one of the women who was dating a band member ended up being recorded on the soundtrack. Makes for a very, very unusual recording. But she is forever a part of that song. But it's also sweet. It makes for a beautiful song. I love the song myself. How am I today? Well, I'll tell you what. I think I'm having a good one. Just Pauline, good to see you. Miss Dragon. Glad that you're here. Miss Dragon, put your link up, please. If you don't mind. Horton Thistle, good to see you. Christian, glad you're here. Evie. All right, here's what we're going to do. There she is. There's that cat. I'll tell you what, she has been tramping around in the other room with Johnny Scoville. I'm not going to lie to you. The squirrel's starting to really give a guy a complex. She spends an awful lot of time hanging out with Johnny. I think it's the guitar. You know how women are. Something about a guitarist. And she seems to have a thing for heavy metal. I'll be honest, she's not been the same kitty. You go on the road for a couple of days, you come back. Actually, she's exactly the same cat. Annoying, loud in the middle of the night. No, she's the bestest. But she really is a 3 o'clock in the morning cat. I mean, it's like having an alarm. Right? She just bolts up and starts, hey, it's her little Reese. Good to see ya. Squirrel is one of those animals that just, it's like a light switch gets thrown. And all of a sudden, this cat's awake and it's on and cracking. The rest of the evening is determined by Squirrel Nut Zipper. At that point, I'm out. She does. She loves me, but she's a tramp. You know, she gets around, is all I'm saying. She gets around. And you guys will defend her. I get stuff in the mail, emails and stuff from you who defend the cat and say, she probably doesn't know the difference between the two of you. The cat's not 100. You know what I mean? I got the cat at 6 months old. She's the youngest person, even in cat years or dog years or any other years. This is the youngest person in the family. I promise you, she's got more of a snap and more on the ball than any of us. If anyone here has figured out that Johnny Scoville isn't me, it's probably the cat. So I'm not buying any of that. Can't think of a better name. What a great name. Seriously. Mischief managed. For months. 3 a.m. squirrel video needed. You make a good point. I'm learning an awful lot about YouTube, by the way. I am literally learning a crap load about YouTube. It's kind of funny. This morning I was watching one of my idols on YouTube. I really was. And I don't even know if I want to embarrass the dude, like being associated even. But I was watching somebody say ASMR videos are odd. I really started to dive into some of them. Do you know that some ASR, those videos, some of them are like people slurping coffee, right? Not only do I not want to hear someone slurp coffee, I want to hurt everybody in North America that's slurping coffee today. Does that make me a bad person? Johnny, does that make me a bad person? Do you hear that? That's Johnny Scoville, and he's the nice brother. He said, if I can hear you eating what? I'm imagining your death. Probably at his own hand. Right? Now imagine if you had to live with somebody in a box, like a walk-in closet with a toilet and a set of bunk beds, right? And a desk, little stools squeeze out from the wall. Not particularly good. Not particularly good sized. But as it turns out, you get in a lockdown unit and you live with that guy. And I remember so many times that the first meal comes in and somebody goes, and you just go, oh no, I'm eating 3 meals a day with this cat for the next year. You start doing the math in your head. You're like, you know what? Not really a mathematician, but 365 times 3, got to be over 1,000. And I am not happy at the prospect of hearing this cat slurp 1,000 meals this year. So at that point, I usually had, hey, Canadian, good to see you. The Canadian cat. At that point, I'm usually ready to have the conversation where I go, man, I'm not trying to be a insert your favorite, word I won't use on the lifeboat here. But I'm not trying to be that dude. But I want to tell you something. I'm going to hook you up right now. Mom and dad might not have, I don't know, state raised. A lot of reasons that this could have gone wrong. But you got to take my word for the fact that there is no woman out there that ever met a guy that said, he is so cool, but he chews with his mouth closed. You know what I mean? I can't hear it. I can't see what he's eating. And it's just ruining this for me. I mean, he's such a great guy. But, I mean, I really want to see what he's eating. Sling Blade, good to see you. A long time no see. You understand what I'm saying? No one's ever said that. That's a phrase that's never been uttered. I just wish he made more noise when he ate. So I would say to people, man, like I can see your food, bro. It's not going to happen. It's too small a room for me to listen to you eat. And more often than not, you could actually kind of help somebody out in that process. I know it sounds terrible, but you realize what a cell is? It's about 50 square feet. I'm not even playing. I love it when people are like, well, I was looking at apartments. They're so small, though. Like this one's 780 square feet. Like I couldn't live in a, bro, 50 feet, right? 50 square feet with a dude and a bunk bed and a toilet and a desk. I share. Yeah. I don't want to hear anybody eat. Might make me a bad person. However, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of eating on these videos. However, there has been an awful lot of talk concerning me maybe doing some reading, and I'm doing it. Like the scripts are being cranked out. I'm doing a couple of different kinds of these videos. I'm pretty excited about it, to tell you the truth. And I've been messing with people who are friends of mine all day long. For about 2 days now. I really have a hard time not leaving silly messages in my in my ASMR. No, this is hard because I don't want to sound silly doing this, right? But when somebody goes, oh man, your voice is relaxing, the first thing you think is I should probably change my voice, right? But then I talk to people and they're like, no, you're changing up. You need to sound like you sound right now. Like this is the voice you want to hear the story in. You don't want me trying to sound different. You want me to sound like this. So I can do that. I got this down, I think. But now I do crack people up and leave really silly messages. I honestly have done stuff where I sat down and recorded my voice before. I've done this for other things. I was telling Spanky. No, I wasn't. Maybe I was telling somebody else this. But right around the time I met Spanky's ma, I had done a little of this. was actually a couple of commercials that were north of the border commercials for some of you Canadians. If you go back and listen, one has something to do with in Canada, the water rushes a little bit faster. Like one of those. It's a really, really long time ago. But I'm not joking. Right around the time I met Spanky's ma, I was playing around and doing stuff. And Heather, thank you. Anyone who grew up in the 80s remember spitballs blown through straws? Sure. Well, if you can't be funny, what else have you got? You make a good point. You make a good point. Oh, you know what? Tink, I want to tell you something. I ate some tincture earlier today on my brother's channel. Let me tell you something, people. If you're new to the Chase the Heat family, I have had more tincture, right? Like take the top off the bottle and drink the entire thing. I don't know that there's anybody on planet Earth that's done that more than I have. There might be an idiot out there that has done this like 9 times, 8 times, but I probably have done it 7 times. I did it once at work, which was an unbelievably bad idea. In fact, you know what? I might have done it twice at work, which was really, really a bad idea. When you recited Jabberwocky, that was the ASMR voice, said JD. Now I'm not remembering how I did it, but this is what everybody has been telling me is that I really don't need to change a darn thing, that what it really comes down to is all of this. There can't be any background noise. That's where we're running into some issues, but we're already got it figured out. I'm probably not going to do it here. I'm probably actually going to do this in a recording studio, which means probably doing a lot of it because you don't go in and do 8 hours of this. And the idea is we're going to put up at least 8 hours of this, right? And we'd like to get Johnny to do 8 hours, and Spanx Calhoun's doing 8 hours, or we're going to make him sleep outside and we're not going to feed him anything. The greatest part about getting your kid away from everybody else, you know what I mean? Like separate him from the other part of the family, get him off here. It's like cold style, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but there's this wicked, awesome group out of California that have been doing it forever. What you want to do is make sure that he can't talk to anybody else in the family. Separate him away, get him away from there, right? Make him sign a contract. I just want one for like 3 months. No billion a year. I just want him to get real busy for the next 3 months. Yes, I blew many a spitball through straw. Another thing that you could do back in the 80s is you would tear half of the back of the straw off, the little paper piece, and then you could dip the front into your water or anything. And then when you blew the little sleeve off, it stuck to whatever it hit. I was also a pretty big fan of that back in the day. Yes, isolation is key, says Shannon Smith. Isolation really is key. I'll tell you what, which is funny, right? Because we have been talking about connection for a really long time. What about Wonder Bread spitballs? Okay, since it's Friday night, let's entertain the spitball thing. I want to say something. Canadian Cat, do people get sober here? Not unless they really want to, right? Not unless they really want to, bro. This is usually what happens. What usually happens is this. Unlike everybody else, well, we kind of do something here that is like this. Because in my previous life, I broke a bunch of laws, robbed some banks, ran some guns, did some other things that I'm not particularly proud of. Virtually all of which had something to do with stealing something in one way or the other. I was a thief. That was really my crime. So when I got out and I kind of had to go to meetings, I wasn't going to do that because I relapsed in the parking lot of more places that you go to get sober than anybody you've ever met. Like I'd get a good run going, but the federal government or the state government would say, all right, Tommy, you got to go bring us 90 meetings in 90 days. And I swear to God, like I would get on my knees and say, look, man, don't force me to go into a room full of junkies. That's what I was. Track marked up, right? 7 grams a day. Don't put me in a room full of people who the second I walk in are going to make eye contact with me and be like, what's up, dog? I don't know how to explain it, but I swear to God, it's a fact. I've watched this happen. And if you're addicted to drugs, you've probably seen it happen. If you ever get put into a rehab without saying a word, without discussing your drugs of choice. People who do meth will click up. People who do heroin will click up. Drinkers will click up. Everybody, honestly, even if you say do not discuss what your drug of choice is, we were in prison. They were like, don't talk about your crime, don't talk about your drug of choice. But we got free coffee, we got donuts, and they gave us about 30 minutes, 40 minutes to just walk around and talk. And then they said, all right, do me a favor, raise your hand if your drug of choice is methamphetamine. Now at the time, just about everybody in the state I was in was getting busted for meth. It was like that heyday. And just about every hand in the room went up. And all of these hands were in little groups of 5 or 6 or 8 or whatever. And it said, raise your hand if you're addicted to heroin. And there was 3 people in that room. I was one of them. And the 3 of us were standing apart from everybody else, drinking coffee. Nobody ever said anything to anybody else, but we just knew, I guess. We just knew. But I go to an NA meeting and I know. And I also know who's holding. I know who doesn't want to be there. And I know who's got dope in their pocket. So I started doing this instead. And I thought if 6 people could show up, right? Then I could say, I go to a meeting every single day, man. I go to a meeting every single day. And literally the federal government said, that's not going to work for meetings. And I no BS said that you can take me back to prison. Straight up. Because tell you what, I've been sober 5 years and I've never made it 5 years. I've never made it even close to 5 years, right? This is world record stuff for me by a long stretch. So you can bring me back to prison because all they can do is hold me for another 2 years, right? And that's going to kill my paper, the probation I would have to do on the street. And I looked at my probation officer and said, you may not believe this, but I'd rather be sober and incarcerated than out here on heroin. So I'm not going to those meetings. So do what you do. And that's how it went down. I crap you not. I stuck my hands behind my back and said, get out your handcuffs because I'm not going to attend one of those meetings. And this was a guy that didn't like me. I've talked about this on the boat many, many times. The first thing this guy said to me was, hey, just looked at your file. You're a real effing piece of you know what, aren't you? And I said, well, if all I had to go on was that file that you were reading in front of you, I might say the same thing. I might. So, I mean, I did everything. That I could possibly do to try to get this cat to just listen to me. And I think he went, you know what? Go ahead. Because he didn't believe that I was going to do 2 meetings, right, in a week, much less I was going to do 2 or 3 meetings a day. And that, years later, I'd still be doing that. I don't think anybody saw that coming, including myself. Now, I don't mean that. I don't know. I didn't see this happening. It wasn't a hustle. I just did not want to go. And then what I figured out since then is there's a bunch of people who have said to me, I like the ability to come into your comment section and say things like, I'm hurting, right? Because I can't see you, cat. I don't know. I mean, it says Canadian, but for all I know, you could be in England, right? The name means nothing. You guys can crank those out. And that's kind of nice, right? It's anonymous in a way, right? Except we're not telling you that you have to be anonymous. We don't put it in the name. Because you put it in the name, and what are you doing? I would like to remain anonymous in this. Sources who wish to remain anonymous have said Tommy Scoville's a scumbag. Right? Well, pop out in public then. I don't want to hear sources that want to remain anonymous. I don't know who you are. Right? And I'll be honest with you. The first time I heard Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought to myself, okay, there's something really wrong with whatever you're doing, right? Don't want anybody to know about it. Listen, we won't let anybody know your names, right? Because, you're weak. Haven't been able to control that drinking, right? You're weak. But we'll do it in the back of a church. No one's going to know what you're doing here, right? So when you pull in, they may not know you're going to a meeting. Of course, it is a Wednesday. And boy, you start having thoughts like that, don't you? Man. People are going to see this car in the parking lot and it says Rocco 1 on the license plate. It's like the whole world's going to know, right, that I'm in here. How you doing? My name is Tommy. And I spent the vast majority of my life addicted to heroin. I stole to keep that habit going for a really long time. Kim, 3 months, Kim? Thank you. Much love from Israel. Much love back to you. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here. So while I was in prison, I started talking to a guy who helped me get sober. I mention he's black. Every single time I say, the man who saved me, I say, he was a black man. I had someone say to me, why do you say that? I say, because it is a massive part of the story. It shouldn't be, right? We should live in a world where that doesn't make a bit of difference. Alan Ballantyne, thank you, my brother, for your generosity of spirit and your generosity in every other way. My best friend. Right there, man. Really is. That's my best friend. He's on his way, people. And by the way, he'll be on the cruise. So get your tickets. Okay. So I mention every single time that the man I met was a black man because I was in the custody level I was in American prisons anyway. They're racist by design. The people that run the place, the inmates and the institution want to make sure that black and white people don't hang out. They would like to create as much division as they possibly can, even within, say, the Mexican races, divide north, south, like get everybody so that they're all at each other's throats. Because if we're all doing this, then we're not all trying to reform the system or find out why it's cool that they lock us up and that we get on our knees and beg to work 18-cent an hour jobs just so we can have some way to get out of the cell that we're in, right? Some way to feel like you're somewhere else. Some way to feel like, you know what, for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, if they let you, or 16 hours a day, beg for that overtime and work for about 75 cents an hour, maybe even $1 an hour. Can you imagine? On the street, if I said, hey, I got a good job for you, I'm going to start you out at 16 cents an hour, we'd have a long talk, wouldn't we? But in prison to get those jobs, I would show up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would stand on line from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock every single morning until I got an interview. I was online with a lot of other people who were doing the exact same thing. And you know what we were told every single day by the person who was going to interview us? Showing up here every single day does not get you a job. It's not getting you any closer to a job. You're wasting your time being here every single day. Stop it. When I told Q that, he said, yeah, he's going to tell you that every single morning. But one day, they're going to catch 4 people back there with some dope on them. 3 people are going to get into a fist fight. Something's going to happen. And the cop is going to walk out and he's going to go like this. You 4. And if there's nobody waiting there, then they're going to put up a sign and say, we're taking applications. That was all I needed to hear because I would stand online there every single day from 5 to 6. No problem. No problem. Because I wanted that job. I begged. And I got big pimping. I actually got to a point at some point where I was making $1.26 an hour. And I want to tell you something. Woo-hoo-hoo! Killing it. Making big money. So what about codependence? Okay, codependence is just another addiction. Let me tell you something. There's a reason we call this a lifeboat, right? You know why? Because the love boat was taken. Cool, right? No. It was called the Tommy Scoville Show. Why? Because I didn't want people harassing my children, right? I wasn't born with that name. But I called it the Tommy Scoville Show because that's what I was calling myself. We eat really hot foods and burn ourselves. It's part of what we do. My brother's wicked famous for it. But I didn't want that name. And I said to everybody, you guys can name the channel. And they picked the Lifeboat. And the reason they did is because this. I don't care if you're snorting cocaine, right? I don't care if you're shooting the heroin. I don't care what you're doing with meth, right? Because you can get it in your body any way you want. I don't care if you're smoking weed, getting loaded. I don't care what you're doing. Those are drugs, right? I don't care if you're stealing. I don't care if you're lying. I don't care if you're doing any of those things that are symptoms, right? Just like heroin's a symptom, just like cocaine's a symptom, just like eating to make yourself feel better is a symptom. Or starving yourself is a symptom. Can't say that word today. Self-harm. There are people who cut themselves, and they do so because it's going to relieve something inside that the needle used to do for me. Okay? And the straw used to do for the next person. So guess what? It doesn't matter what puts you in this boat. And you say, well, I don't know. It's a little bit different. You know what? We work with gamblers every single day. They don't have a drug problem, but they are no different. If I got them in a room and I said, we're going to talk, you're not allowed to say what you were hustling the money for. You're not allowed to say what it is that brought the high. You wouldn't tell the difference between them and anybody else. And I've come to realize that, guess what? Doesn't even matter if it's got anything to do with drugs. I learned a bunch of crazy crap, especially since I'd say the last 9 months. I learned more about all of this. I really believed more than anything that I had ever learned, right? I don't know how to help my codependent sister. She's been so abused, but won't go. Well, this is the ultimate, isn't it? Here's the question, right? For all of us. And we can take this back to, right? We can take this back to philosophy. We can take this back to religion. We can take this back to anything you want. But what it comes down to is this. Virtually every single one of us has free will. And sadly, that free will can be hijacked. It can be hijacked by religions. It can be hijacked by cults, right? That can take you in the wrong direction. It can be hijacked by drugs. But when you start to lose that free will, I didn't have it. I promise you I didn't. Or I'm the worst piece of crap on planet Earth. You can make that choice. There's no way. It's one or the other, right? Because the things that I did, when you look at from a distance, I was a horrific person, right? I was a horrific person. And my habit was legendary. I did a ton of dope, and I did it for decades, and nothing got in the way of that. Sadly, not God, not family, right? Not being a dad or a friend or any of those things or a job. I made a ton of money until I didn't. And then I started stealing. So some sobriety takes place here. Here's some things that don't, right? Nobody's going to give anybody crap here about who they pray to, who they don't pray to, how they pray, or why they pray. That's never going to happen, right? We have freedom of religion here, and we have freedom from religion here. So you do not have to believe in anything. The first time you crap on somebody for believing in something, you're gone. The first time a believer craps on somebody for not believing in something, you're gone. Right? It's all cool to say I'm praying for you. But if somebody says, hey, I'm lighting a candle for you, or hey, you know what? I got this little spell I do. Hey, thanks. Okay. Thank you. Or I don't believe in any of that stuff, Tommy, but I'm thinking nice thoughts in your direction. I'll take it. Right? We symbolize that here by going like this. In case you've never seen that before. Right? I do that one. And I'll say, like, for instance, right now, right? That one right there. We have a friend on the boat named Steve Molesky. And Steve was a really important part of this boat. And the cat needs a new heart. We've all known this for a really long time. And if, sadly, he can get 3 good, deep breaths of air in, he's going to try to talk to somebody about helping them. Because that's who Steve is. So when I get calls and it's his wife, I have to say to him, tell Steve to shut up. I love him. Tell him to stop talking. Save his air. But those ones are for thoughts and prayers for Steve Molesky, because I love the guy. And he's struggling right now. He's gonna be here. He's gonna be back here. This is home for him. But he's struggling right now. I'll tell you, today was a bitch of a day. I'm just going to be really honest with you. It started out like a house of fire. It started out like a really good day. And cognitively, I haven't had a day this good in a pretty long time, right? I really kind of got my snap today, people. I thought that was a pretty good one. But you know what? When I interview Spanx Calhoun, and I love it. I'm not complaining. But when I interview Spanx Calhoun, I drudge up stuff, right? And I find myself having to do some things sometimes that I just are amazing. I'm divorced. If you guys are divorced, raise your hand. There's a ton of you. If I said, I want you to defend your ex right now, right? Sometimes you'd go, I don't think I want to defend my ex. If it's okay with you, I don't want to do that. I'd rather hold my ex's head underwater for a while. I'm kidding, but only slightly, but only slightly. But today when I heard Spanky talking, and he's not hacking on his mom, he loves his mom more than anybody in the world. But hearing that, I was there, right? And I felt myself having to say, hey, let me step in on your mom, because she's a pretty good mother. I walked away from that feeling really good about that. I really did. No joke. But when emotions come up from the past, hey, I wasn't dad of the year. And I have come to grips with that. When you go away, here's the thing too. Let's say I was dad of the year, because I'll BS aside, there are some people that might tell you I was. I'm not being funny. But I really was super dad for a long time. I spent a lot of time with my kid. I just dug it, right? Having Spanky was like having the ultimate toy. I'm sorry, it really was. He wasn't like other kids, right? He had a vocabulary at 2, like he has now. Like Spanky was touched, and it was so much fun to have him around. It was like a Chucky doll that didn't want to hurt anybody. Like I had the coolest little 2-year-old on earth, and I took him everywhere. All right, and I hung out with him. I spent so much time with him. I wanted to teach him how to do everything. I wanted to teach him to swim. Right? We had father-son time, like nonstop. So there are people who said I was a great dad. Trouble is that great dad was doing dope. And when I first started sitting down and talking to Mike, it was incredible because I have the world's best memory. Up until just recently, anyway. I really did have the world's best memory. But do you know what? I didn't remember any of the good stuff. We don't do that. I didn't remember any of the good stuff. I remember sitting down and having an interview with Calhoun and just letting it go and saying, I'm so sorry for this. And he said to me, you know what I remember? I remember really great Christmases. Like I always remember the Christmas tree being stopped. I remember spending a lot of time with you. I remember you teaching me how to ski. And he started to talk about things. And I went, we as parents start to believe that the crappy stuff that we did is the only stuff that our kids remember. And guess what? This jumps the curb. This is not just parenthood, right? We do this in life. There's somebody I'm talking to. I'm not talking to them. I'm lying. I don't talk to people. I'm leaving messages for this person, right? Little 2-minute jobbers, because that happens to be the platform that we're going back and forth on. So I'm leaving 2-minute messages for this person. And then this person is leaving 2-minute messages back. And sometimes that's annoying as hell. And you go, boy, Tommy could leave me 4 2-minute messages. Could he not pick up the phone and talk to me? Right? That would have saved a hell of a lot of time, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. And there's a method to the madness, believe it or not, people. There really is. There's a method to the madness. I start leaving messages for people. I do this all the time. And we begin to talk. And the first 4 messages that the people leave, their voices sound like someone's got a tremolo bar on a guitar while they're using it, because somehow people quit watching television and YouTube became like more than just this place where you go to fart around. Like this has become entertainment for some. It's become connection for others. It's become a really big deal. And sometimes, believe it or not, people kind of freak out that they're talking to the host. Reese saw it. I promise you, probably for the first time ever, she was like, wow, that's kind of odd, because there are people who are, for lack of a better word, I get it a lot with because everybody knows my brother, right? We remember the crap that we've done, and we don't remember any of the good stuff. It's amazing. It really is. But we are awesome at stripping away everything. And then we throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I did this number and I got really good at it. And you know what? People do it. Somebody just the other day said, in a problem, in a small one, you're right. I'm sorry. This sucks. I'm leaving the boat. I'm not going to talk. Get your butt back here. Shut up. I don't want to hear this. You're not getting away with it that easy. Get back here. Sit your butt down and let's work on what's wrong with you. Because we do this, right? Boy, if I could just lump this all into one ball, get it into a little round number, I could throw that out, toss out all of that, right? So let's see. 12 years as a dad, raising the kid pretty much every day. Let's just get rid of all of that and I'll throw it all out. And it was amazing because I started to realize that, boy, there was so much good time in there. There really are amazing memories because I did spend the vast majority of that time doing everything within my power to make sure that no one on planet Earth saw me doing drugs. Now, make me a good person? Absolutely not. Did it mean that my 4-year-old didn't realize dad was a junkie? No, he didn't have any idea on earth. Never had a clue. Neither did my 5 or 6-year-old or my 7-year-old or my 8-year-old. But in my head, I couldn't allow that. I couldn't. In my head, if I allowed myself that much wiggle room. So wait a sec. I was a good dad on smack. Is that what you're saying? So I could do this. Let me get this straight. I could be a good dad and do heroin at the same time, right? Because that's what my head goes to, right? He didn't know. Nobody knew, right? It's so easy, people. It's so easy. Why do you run to a channel and say, hey, I want you guys to know I relapsed? I took Valium, which I take sometimes because currently I have TMI. And sometimes Valium is literally the only thing in the world that's going to shut down the brain and let me do what needs to be done. Now, if I were to some chance grab a beer and intentionally drink it on top of that Valium, I'm not doing it because I was thirsty and I happened to take a Valium. It's because I know what a beer is going to do to a Valium. And it went from a prescription to a buzz quickly. Now, I'm not going out on the town. And truthfully, it's going to kick it in a lot faster. I'm going to fall asleep. It wasn't like, but the point is, I did it to escape something. Was it a big deal? No. The one pill, the one beer, not a big deal. Didn't do it the next day, not a big deal. But I did it because I had a crappy day. And instead of sitting down and journaling and dealing with it, and there were 2 people I was a little bummed out at, and instead of just letting them know why I was a little upset and maybe communicating with them, that was easier. But here's the deal. I don't have to tell any of you because you didn't see it, right? You didn't see it. You didn't see it. Anybody see me take that? Raise your hand, right? Who saw Captain Tommy? So I don't have to tell you. I could lie. It's just an omission lie, right? Because I'm not lying. I'm not saying, hey, I didn't do anything yesterday, but I am saying I haven't done anything in 8 years. And you know what? Hey, my drug of choice is heroin. You don't think a justifier, and that's what liars are the best at, right? You don't think a justifier and a pro can justify that one? I didn't relapse. I didn't do nothing. See me stick a needle in my arm? Huh? Was it an opiate? Then I didn't relapse. But I wasn't going to play that. I wasn't worried about that end of it. You know the end I was worried about? I was worried about the BS end of it. I was worried about the part where I go, you know what? I'm just going to lie to everybody. I'm just going to lie to everybody. It's okay. It's a little one. It's not a big one, right? It's not a big one. It's a little one. It's just an omission lie. But it's permission to tell the next one. And let me tell you something. I'm going to gain speed. Good Lord in heaven. Danny's mom just bought everybody on the lifeboat a membership. Danny's mom, thank you so much. My goodness. Thank you. And Calhounas. Danny's mom, that is incredible. That really is. People, that says 50 memberships. Thank you. That is amazing. Lying is exhausting and debilitating. Tommy, I'm glad you're not lying. Well, I'll tell you something. It kind of made me a dirtbag. It really did. And I'll tell you why. Because I came here before I talked to my kids. I came here before I talked to my family. I came here before I called my best friend. Well, that's a crappy thing to do. Until the end of time, I did it because views are more important to me than anything else. And you know what? Go ahead. You got your freebie because you can make a good argument for that point. Hell, I could make a good argument for that point. I could call myself a dirtbag and argue that point. It's a pretty easy one to argue. Let's keep it real, right? Keep it real. That sounds like it. But the truth of the matter is, I know that if I give myself a little bit of leeway, like, you know what? They don't need to know now. I'm going to tell him. I'm just not going to tell him right now. I'll tell him after lunch. And I'll tell you why. Because we're having a good run right now. Like the boat was on fire. This is the last time in the world. I mean, the worst time to tell somebody that I did something like this is when people are starting to listen to me, right? I could talk myself into anything, people. I talked myself into stealing from people I loved. I talked myself into walking into banks and saying, I need you to give me the top drawer and the bottom drawer now, right? Okay, not normal. No one in their right mind does this crap. Now you say, so what you're saying is, right? If you start BSing, you're going to be in that bank. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Not that day. Might be 2 months, might be 6 months, could be 5 years. Maybe it's little white lies for 4 or 5 months. Because you know what? My brain's good at this crap. It's insidious. And if I start doing it really quick, the journal will catch it. I promise. The journal will catch it. You'll catch yourself and you'll go, what am I doing? But if it's just that little one, it's just that little one. I'm not lying. I'm not. I'm just not telling them. You know when the first one of those happened? You've been on the boat a long time. Somebody came in the comment section one day and started to go off about Suboxone, which I take every single day. Subutex, buprenorphine, and Subutex, right? Subutex is a drug that, I apologize. Subutex is the drug that somebody brought up. And they said, what's the difference between Subutex and Suboxone? And I said, Subutex does not have naloxone, right? Narcan, name brand, milked into it. And I started to explain the difference. I said, and I happen to take Suboxone. See, if you take in Subutex, you can continue to get high on other things. And the meltdown began. We were a small channel, and the meltdown began. You're not sober. Enter your favorite whatever here, right? Guess what? That one? Yeah. Okay. I traded heroin for Suboxone. Oh, wow. That was a bad call. I was 5 years clean when I took Suboxone. I kicked old school laying in a prison cell in a paper suit, which they were kind enough to give me bunches of because I was toiling them pretty fast. Suboxone is amazing, isn't it? Booyah. Tell you what, so are the injections. People are having a lot of success with those injections. People love to see it, love to see it. Now, tell you what, you want to lie to the people you care about? I will never judge you for it. I won't. It's not my job. I won't. Not my job. If, however, you lie to yourself, I'm going to call you on it. If I can see it, I'm calling you on it. Do you know why? Because somebody loved me enough to call me on mine. All of them. I'm going to mention that he was black. Not doing that because I'm a racist. I'm doing that because it's such a damn important part of the story. The guts it took for him to come up and try to help a white dude in the first place is epic. But to continue to do it for a couple of years, and it's why I'm here today. And I'm not going to tell that story without mentioning that every single time. Somebody said to me, you don't need to mention that. Hell, I don't. You don't have a clue. Sorry, you don't have a clue. His people said, don't talk to that guy. My people said, don't talk to that guy. To the point where we get pulled away. Hey, you and I need to talk. And then I'd have to go into a room with a guy that would say, hey, you're making me look bad hanging with the... Yeah. And I would say, oh, I'm going to continue to do it. Because I'm moving forward in life. And I'm becoming a better person every day. So tell you what you're going to do. If it's a discipline thing, send your boys in. It may come as a real shock to everybody in this room, but I've had my butt kicked. Right? I can't tell you how many times. I love it. People tell me, I get stories. You people write me stories, especially guys that have been in jail. I get these stories all the time. Man, I'm 22-0, never been in a fight. You never lost a fight. Wow, man, you're in the wrong line of work. You know, you go 22-0, perhaps you should be doing that crap for a living. Right? Because most of the fights I was in didn't have rules. You go 22-0 in a ruleless sport, you're killing it. I'll tell you. I remember once in particular catching one in the back of the head from a lock in a sock, right? I don't remember much of the rest of that fight. I did take some stitches. I mean, it's a pretty violent place. Right? A lot of fights that take place. Anytime I see part one, I gotta know what part two is. You know what I mean? Part one, funny story. I just got word that one of my good buddies, soon to be ex a-hole, just committed income tax fraud to the tune of $8K. It's funny because he doesn't know she caught him. Ooh. Oh, lovely. By the way, just in case you're also keeping score, because there are people who seem now to want to make up a bunch of crimes that I haven't done, I have actually been caught for that. So there is a little income tax stuff in my past. If you want to look, you're going to find that. Oh, there may also be a pinch of insurance fraud. I have said that my criminal record is all theft. It is not. There are a couple of other interesting types of creativity sprinkled through there. None of them, for the most part, had to do with anything other than trying to get a lot of something for free. Okay, hold on here. Hold on. I'm looking for part two and I didn't see it, so it must be wait. It's easy to speak the truth to others, but hard not to lie to yourself and justify the things you want to do, like drugs. Boy, there's a lot of truth to that, right? A lot of truth to that. Funny story part two. She's reported him to both local, state, and federal authorities. He's claimed his 14-year-old daughter on his income tax and forged my buddy's name on the form. Ouch. That's not good. It's not good. I'll tell you a funny story. You know how I got caught? I think I may have told this on the boat before, but I'll tell the story again. When you work as a public speaker, right? And you get up on stage every day and walk out and do your thing, whether you're no matter what you're doing on stage, if you're selling stuff, whatever, you're still the show. You're still walking out on stage. You're getting paid to do it. And it kind of goes to your head, right? Is theft from thieves theft? Boy, if it's not, yeah, it's still theft. Sadly, I think it's still theft. It's a lot more fun when you're stealing from people that deserve it, but it's still theft. I promise. I tried justifying that one. Yeah, most of the people I worked for were thieves, so I did a lot of that. Oh, but you're still a thief. I promise. Is being really pregnant? Yeah. Can you unscrew a light bulb? God bless Tampa Bay. Yeah. So like a little bit pregnant, a little bit of a thief. Yeah. Okay, so there's no honor among thieves. There really isn't. You know what? I'm going to take that back. There's very little honor among thieves. I will tell you this. You could look up a gangster by the name of Joe Waverly, right? Joe Waverly. Go ahead and look that one up. His last name is Kakasi. It's going to look like a case or Kakasi. Everybody mispronounces it, right? The name is, and his first name isn't Joe, it's Joel. But as an Italian gentleman who was in that line of work at the top of the food chain, he was referred to as Joe Waverly, right? His real name is Joel Kakasi. And that was, there was honor among thieves with that cat. That was a dude that, no joke, took a pinch like you see in the movies, went in, told him to F off. He wasn't going to talk about anybody, wasn't going to tell anybody. He was that dude. He went away, he did his time, and then he walked out of prison, and he's going to die on the streets. That is a solid dude. There are still a few of them, right? There aren't very many of them. There really are. But Russ will tell you this. Once you get locked up and you get inside, if you steal something in a prison, right? If you steal something in a prison, I don't think you can imagine how bad it gets. It is considered, honestly, you are that white stuff that gets caught in the corner of your mouth, right? That gum that gets caught on the bottom of your feet, people that hurt children, right? Guys like DM and cell thieves all tend to fall and get treated the same way. It's bad form. But what Spanky's talking about is cell fighting. There's a great movie called Raising Arizona. And in that movie, there is a fight between three people, right? Inside two really John Goodman and is fighting Nicolas Cage. And not only are they in a mobile home, but they're in the bathroom of a mobile home is where it starts. And that's pretty much fighting in prison. Like you pull your arm back like this, like you're gonna punch somebody and you're gonna hit the wall behind you. You learn a different kind of fighting, I promise. And the crazy thing is that they'll send 3 guys in to get you. You know, I always thought you're a little safer if they send 3 guys in because they're going to end up beating up each other trying to get to you, you know, or they'll send 1 guy in, right? And 2 are going to stand right outside the cell. That's when it's bad, right? Because they're going to take turns. You know, they'll sort of rotate through, but they're trying to give that guy enough room to work, enough room to put some work in there. Son, you got a panty on your head. Great line. She's seen it. The sun does not rise and set on the corner store. I know you're partial to armed robbery, but the sun does not rise and set on the corner market. Hey, could you hurry up with that? I'm in Dutch with the old lady. Some of the greatest lines ever written. That is a really well-written script. In fact, when he's talking about why they needed to go steal the Arizona child in the first place, the doctor said her womb was a rocky place where my seed would find no purchase. I'm sorry, that movie absolutely killed me. If you've never seen it, do yourself a favor and go see that. Gene Strong says, fantastic film. And let me tell you something. Gene, never wrong. And you know, I can back that up because that's the first thing I remember reading from Gene, and it's perfect, right? So far, never wrong. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. I'm sorry, Tampa B. I love you, but this is kind of funny. You know what I mean? This is kind of funny. Every once in a while, you come across something and you think to yourself, it might not even have to be said. I love you, but honestly, is there anyone that doesn't like bacon? Do those people exist? And I know people are going to say to me, you know, there are religions. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do it. I was having a breakfast once with a guy who was pretty famously Muslim. And at one time was the heavyweight champion of the world. In fact, I think 3 or 4 different times he was the heavyweight champion of the world. And a guy I used to work with, and we were having a breakfast, and it had been brought up to the room because Ali is not a guy you can go into a restaurant and sit down and have a meal with because everyone on planet Earth knew who he was. I'm not kidding. The internet was a little different and whatever, but at that time he was considered because of the thrill in Manila, the stuff he did in Africa, traveling the world, the philanthropy. He was the most recognized man on Earth. More people knew who he was than knew who anyone was. So you didn't go down to the restaurant, right? You didn't get into a regular car where people could look in because they start following. So it always had to be. But anyway, so we were having breakfast and I had, as I always do, an obscene amount of bacon on my plate. Because when they say, would you like a little extra bacon with that? I say, no. I would like an obscene amount of bacon on this, right? I want it really, really crispy. And I want the person to go, there's no way that anyone wants that much bacon on their plate. Like, that's what I want the guy in the kitchen to say. And then I want him to look down and be like, that might be Scoville. Is Scoville staying here? Okay, no, good. Send that up. I want 2 rashers of bacon, right? Cut about 1/4 of an inch thick. Crispy to the point where when you bite into it, it kind of turns to dust in your mouth. Everybody with me? Okay. Piles of it. I'm a fan of bacon. They don't give it to you in the joint, by the way. But anyway, the former heavyweight champion of the world, a Muslim, who you probably know, reached over, grabbed a piece of my bacon, took the entire thing, snaked it all into his mouth at once, while my friend Danny, by the way, was looking directly at him. And then he looked over and went, what? While he was chewing in his mouth. And I went, I don't think you're allowed to do that. And literally while chewing my bacon went, do what? And I was like, you know what? You're not that fast anymore, man. I saw it. I saw that. And it happened more than once in the time that I knew him. I'm of the firm belief that when no one is looking, everyone eats bacon. Sorry. By the way, the question earlier, and I saw it, was what was the bet that I lost that put me on Chase the Heat, burning myself with tincture? Now, in my own defense, I have done tincture considerably hotter than the tincture that I did today. Nothing wrong with that tincture. That tincture is hot as heck. But it's not that 15 or 14. What was that stuff Broom give us? Oh, I think it was like 12 or 13 million units, but Scoblios. But I had me in a ball on the floor doing this number. I didn't technically lose a bet. I just started off the show that way. Here's what it happens. I will say to my brother one time, yeah, no, I'll do that tincture with you. And I don't think about it a lot. I do love filming with my brother is more fun than anything in the world. It really is. I love filming with Johnny. You know, even when my brain isn't working right, neither is Johnny's, right? And we're always in sync. So when I do stuff with him, he almost, it makes it look like I know what I'm doing, right? But unfortunately, I burn myself almost every time, or I get to vomit. What else did I get to do? It's usually something foul, and you people love it. I mean, you do. So technically, I didn't lose a bet. I was over there. But when I did the dropper myself, Johnny didn't do it or anything. And when I did the eyedropper, it hit my top lip, and then it hit my bottom lip, and it went between my teeth and gums like chew. And I promise you, that's not how you want to do tincture. Take this from a guy who's drank a 6-pack of bottles of tincture in my life. Honestly, there's something to how you do it. I want the drop in the center of my tongue. I want to let it burn. I want to drop it right in the center of my tongue, and I just want to let it burn. And that's not how it went down. It got my lip. It just went, and then my face was on fire. And of course, I'm sitting next to Johnny, right? And nothing burns Johnny. I mean, that's not true. I've watched Johnny hurt, and I've seen him, but it's always that super extreme challenge stuff. It's nothing. Normal stuff he doesn't hurt. Why would you ever eat something he gave you? If this is not the greatest question that anyone has ever asked on the lifeboat, and you answered it yourself. Hold on, because I saw the answer. I did. Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. And I think that sums it up, doesn't it? No, that's just dumb. That's just dumb. And I've said this earlier. Oh, you got a violin, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Do you know that I am going to be working with apparently screenwriters? And I don't know where I'm doing it, but if I'm doing it in Florida, you're in deep trouble. I have a feeling it's probably going to be in California. But if it were Florida, right, I'll be back there at some point. Keep getting tough. I'm bringing hot sauce next time I go to Florida. It's got something fix all your wagons. Yeah, I promise you. I'm going to show you what it's like being Johnny's brother. Everywhere I go, for real. It's never just, oh, you're Johnny Scoville's brother. You're Tommy. No, it's always, I got something that will peel the skin off of the inside of your mouth and probably make it difficult to go to the bathroom for at least 3 days. And I'm going to watch you eat it because you're Johnny Scoville's brother, right? Obviously, you'd like to eat some fire with maybe a little raspberry flavor. Johnny's the only one that tastes the raspberry. You could smell it in that tincture, but how does it taste? Like fire. It tastes a lot like burning, Honestly, I like the burn afterwards. Did you see Alan Ballantyne almost kill me when he was here? Right? And that's my best friend. Even he wanted to kill me. You saw it. I said to him, Alan, we're going to do some pods tonight. These are fresh pods, right? And he's a chili head. So I was like, hey, I'll do 2 to every one you eat. Right? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Right? Homeboy, like maybe eat 2 of them and I'll eat 4 of them, right? Let Tommy look cool. Alan starts doing this one. He was two-handed those things. It looked like Aaron eating French fries. I'm serious. Alan Ballantyne, I can't remember how many he ate, but it was way too many. You know what I mean? I was like, wait, did you just eat 6? I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, oh, no. That one almost killed me. Fry up some tomatoes in that bacon grease. I'm going to tell you something. The term bacon grease just makes me hungry. Am I a sick person? I'm pretty sure I could just eat bacon grease. That's foul, isn't it? It's pretty gross. Am I gross? It's gross. I feel gross. But I'm not kidding. I think I could do it. Shannon Smith said the lifeboat. I did. There you go. Fry my shoes in bacon grease. I see, I'm not alone. I love you people. I'm among friends. Do you see this, Calhoun? These are my people. These are my people. Hold on. Eggs cooked in bacon grease? Sure. You might be a closet Souther. I'm willing to give that a try. I strain my bacon grease and use it to cook my burgers. Snot face. You want to hear something really funny about that? Hold on. I should probably see if Moscoville's even slightly around. Hold on. I think I might be safe. All right. So growing up, my family always did that. And that was everybody in the Northeast did that, right? So my mother would make whatever, and we had the cast iron stuff, and they would pour it into a can and save the stuff. But my father always referred to it not as the grease or the bacon. It was the fat can. So my dad would get a real kick out of it because he would go, "Hey, I'm done with this. Where's your mom's fat can?" And he would really get a kick out of saying like fat can, like it was my mom's fat can. And I don't know, from about as young as I was as a little guy, that was something that always made me laugh. Like I always knew that dad was taking a shot at mom, and I thought it was pretty funny. But without fail, the old fat can thing, and it just never got old. It's like there was something about my dad's jokes. Like you could hear my dad's jokes, for 40 years, and they were still funny at the end. He was a pretty funny guy. Jeremy Shelton, was there a good reference back there? Yeah, there was, because even Kristen Melinda's laughing, and oh, sorry to start the bacon talk with my title. No, you know what? You can't. I've never been bummed out by anybody discussing bacon. I'm just saying. There are things in this life that are they're sacred cows as far as I'm concerned. They're untouchable, so to speak, right? Like you can talk about squirrel. I might kill you, but you could talk about squirrel. I mean, you can talk bad about my brother. I'm going to block you off my channel. I'm never going to speak to you again as long as I live. And if you're close enough to me, I might crush your freaking larynx. But you can do it, right? You can talk about Spanx Calhoun. I'm going to stomp a mud puddle in your chest, but you can do it. You can talk about my daughter. I'm going to take you off the planet, okay? But you can do it. Now you talk about bacon. Now it's personal. You feel me? I'm bringing all those people I just talked about with me. and all the bacon lovers of the boat. Yeah, that's right. I'm coming strong. And we're worldwide. I was about to say we're nationwide because it's such a great song. You know the song, right? Hey, Johnny, can you play Bad Nationwide? Today we'll have to do it because it's a really good song. I believe that one might be by those three youngsters from Texas. One of them plays a really mean guitar. Can we talk about Caddyshack 2? We could. Or we could just put cement waders on you and toss you off the side of the boat. I'm willing to say, because I've given this a lot of thought. I'm not joking. There are films out there that are so bad that while gladiators are clanking shields together, you can see that one of them is wearing a Timex. It's a very famous film. It's absolutely awful. This isn't a Timex, but you get the point. And in the background, right, in one of the fight scenes, you can see what is unmistakably a 727 flying across the sky, and not like surreptitiously. It's leaving big like trails behind it. It's the worst crap you've ever seen in your life as far as a movie being synced up. Spanx, you have pushed it to a dangerous level. Did you just really put up you put up the playbill? You put up the movie poster from Caddyshack 2? Wow. That's my son. Yeah, the vapor trail is in the background. You also can see the Long Island Expressway. I'll get the name of this film because it's escaping me right now. They used to joke about it on the Carson show all the time when I was a kid. But you can see the Long Island Expressway. So they're like riding horses in and getting ready, and you can see like cars are going by. It's absolutely the worst crap you've ever seen in your life, right? The worst. And I find these things rather entertaining, truthfully. Any love for Shakes the Clown? Yeah. Yeah. I can I can never watched Caddyshack. Please don't block me. Block you? This is going to sound horrible, right? There's no way to say this nicely. There really isn't. There's just no way I can say this nicely. I met Ted. Ted's a great guy. I hope Ted is somewhere nearby right now, because this is just going to come out awful. But Tampa Bay, I need to be there when that happens for the first time. I really do. I don't think you have any idea, right? Exactly. Mischief Managed kind of sums up an entire world. People on every single continent. By this time tomorrow, I'm not joking. By this time tomorrow, I will have people who have weighed in on this from over 100 nations. I promise you, who are going to go, wait, she never saw Caddyshack? The good news is you have the ability to see what may be one of the funniest films ever made, and by far the funniest golf film ever made. Tin Cup, great film, taking nothing away from it. But Caddyshack was incredible. Now, Caddyshack 2 was an abomination. Truthfully, the people who made it, and I'm not saying this lightly, sometimes you just have to say, this was so bad that you should not be able to ever make a film again. It can be that serious. Do you understand? And then there are films that are so bad that you have to say, we're taking everyone that had anything to do with this and we're burying them alive. Or we're dumping them off the side of a ship in the middle of the ocean. If they can swim their way back, fine, they can make another film. But if not, they're done. That's it. It's a wrap. Caddyshack, brilliant. Sandy Wandy agrees. Everybody agrees. If it wasn't for Caddyshack, Spanky Calhoun would not even be my boy. I'm not kidding. It was one of the things that first bound me to his entire family, right? His uncles, his mom, all of them. One of them cracked a Caddyshack referenced joke at a pool I was at. We're near a marina where I kept a sailboat. And that was like the icebreaker, was actually a line from Caddyshack. So we're big fans of the film. However, and I say this, like, with this, a taste in your mouth so bad that you kind of want to chew aspirin to get that foul taste out of your mouth. Do you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever had a taste in your mouth so disgusting that you thought to yourself, only chewing on aspirin could get the taste of Caddyshack 2 out of my mouth? You ever tasted it? I'm not making this up, people. I don't think you didn't know how disgusting this is. Have we made the point, Calhoun? Have I beat this sufficiently? No?
I think so. I think we get it. I'm just guessing, but yeah, I think we get it. I've actually never seen Caddyshack 2, but Jeremy Shelton is quite convincing. I might have to check it out.
Or Altoids. Tampa Bay's no Altoids might have been a bit of bet. But you know what?
This is actually my buddy's funk band, Kristen Melinda, Super Bubble. If you guys are into funk music, funky stuff, check them out. Pretty sure they're on all the platforms.
Brother, check it out now.
And if they're not, we're going to get them on YouTube real soon.
Soul Brother, check. This is a cat in a basket. And yes, that was a squirrel, like you said. And I am a bit on fire today. I'll be honest. Today was the day that set me on fire. It was. Today was the day that set me on fire. I'm not going to be able to tell you why just yet. But you mark my words, the day is coming where I'm going to tell you all about today. I am. I'm going to tell you all about today. Cool stuff happened today, right? And then some people really close to the boat. No, the rest of you will soon enough, but cool stuff is happening. Really cool stuff is happening. I want to say a special shout out to virtually every single one of you. the Caddyshack 2 fans in the audience. You have permission to leave.
The internet I purchased is not as good as I thought it was.
We're gonna have to complain about that, Calhoun.
I keep losing connection momentarily. It's just today though. It's been great otherwise.
Super Bubble is a great graphic novel. I would agree that it is a graphic novel because I have read that. I don't know enough about graphic novels to tell you the difference between the great ones but they're all kind of rugged. Like I've read it was a genre that got popular in there, so they ended up on book carts, but it's kind of a rugged damn. Kristen Melinda, you have a wonderful night. By the way, I have a bone to pick, not with you, sorry, but with a lot of you. All right. I want you all to do me a favor tomorrow. This goes for every man and woman listening to me. It has occurred to me recently, no joke, that there is something about how society treats us, right? That is kind of like somebody smacking you across the back with a belt, a board, right? Whatever you want. Insert whatever visual image. I've had it done with phone books, like whatever. But you know what happens eventually? You start going like this, and you start rolling your shoulders forward because you've been beat. And you start doing this one, and then the head starts going down, and the chin starts dropping, right? And people who are big, people who are larger than life, start taking on these really small, right? And then I watched what happened. I literally watched a group of people over the course of a really short period of time that rolled their shoulders back, right? That pushed their chest out a little bit, that stood up a little bit taller, right? Lifted their chin a little bit, maybe raised their voice a little bit, put a little bass into it. And it was an amazing thing. It really was. What confidence does for human beings is friggin' incredible. And you don't have to fake it. I'm not asking anybody to fake it. Right? That fake it till you make it crap, that's disgusting. Don't fake anything. But you can live as if. You can live as if today you are a happy person. Tomorrow morning, say, I'm going to live as if the first hour of this day, I'm happy about everything. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to treat everybody that way. Yeah, Tommy does wonders for posture. Yeah, I will absolutely still bust the chops of somebody, even if they're 30 or 29 years old, like Tampa Bay, whatever. If you start with the posture, because 18-year-old girls don't do it, 19-year-old girls don't do it. But as people get older, it just starts to wear us down, doesn't it? Everything. All right, stand up a little bit taller today, right? Chin up a little bit. All right, everybody. You know the drill. I'm Captain Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. All right? Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Thanks, Calhoun. I love you more than life.
Love you, Dad.
Love you more. Final.
See you guys later.
See ya.